Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Longbox. I'm here with RJ from the Fourth Age, so it's also the Fourth Age. And this is Comic Book Team Up, a show that we do on Wednesday nights until probably the end of this month. I think at the end of this month, I'm going back to normal time, RJ.
Oh, sounds good. At the very least, I was thinking tonight, I'm getting to allow some of my West Coast viewers to catch the stream.
Yeah, we'll confuse them once they get used to. Oh, look at my crazy. once we get used, they get used to it. We'll go back to East Coast early time. I'm working 3 to 11, so I rush home, take a shower, and then my hair gets crazy. I'm sorry, everybody. And then we stream. RJ, we took like weeks off, and then RJ's like, I'll do it at midnight. So so thanks, RJ. I would have missed this.
No problem. I missed it too when we didn't have it for a few weeks.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. Plus, with the schedule, I don't get to, I barely interact with my wife and just the guys at work, and then I come home, and I'll tell you, the guys at work are real sick of me talking about comic books. They're all talking about sports stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, but George Perez is one of my favorite artists, and they're like, shut up. I just want to point out Heroic Tales 2 is still available. I had a sale today. That was really fun. Like 20 minutes before going to work, I got a sale, boxed it up, dropped it off at the post office. That has to be the fastest fulfilled crowdfund comic of all time. Guy ordered, and it was in the mail within 25 minutes. So that was fun. And we got Tony Grigo. How you doing, Tony? Good to see you. Tony, there's a chance that I might have to cancel It's Clobbering Time Friday night. So just be warned, because I won't get home till 11, and I might work overtime in the morning, which means I just got to come home, go right to sleep. So if that's the case, maybe we'll skip a week. It'll be the first time in like 2 years that I'll skip it, but we'll find out. Hey,
really quick question.
Sure.
Does anybody here know about I think it's sort of like a Dragon magazine kind of thing. It's called Madscribe. It's okay. So just let everybody know if you have any connection to Madscribe. So like I said, it does fantasy type articles and things like that. I did an article for them, which is coming out in their next edition, and they're also looking to publish the first 3 pages of Crom the Destroyer, which is up in the Crom the Destroyer webpage for Indiegogo. So the first 11 pages are up there for anybody who wants to know what we're still working on. But I have to get, I think, Bill to do the lettering, because my lettering was just faux lettering that I put up on those pages at 11. But the 11 pages on the Indiegogo.
You going to hire Bill Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He's my letterer. He's great. He also does inking if you're looking for inking.
Yep. So just anybody knows about Madscribe. I did an article about heroism in there and the culture war, and they're going to put 4 pages if you include the cover, which is going to be a faux ad, which is to say, the old Marvel ads where you take the cover and just slap on this is what's available kind of thing.
Where can we get Madscribe?
Madscribe is available online, so that's the magazine, but I'm not sure right off the top of my head what the address is. I'll look it up while we're talking, though.
Yeah. I put it. Well, you could post. Yeah. You're a moderator. You could post. Yeah. You just reminded me. Some guy reached out to me. He's making a Jim Shooter tribute magazine, and he said it's going to be in print. And he watched my interview with Jim Shooter, so he asked if he could take segments of it and put it in his magazine. He said, I'll give you I said, yeah, just credit me and put my YouTube channel and my comic book stuff like that. And he said he'll send me a copy in October. So I don't know what the name. He told me, I forgot. So that's funny that both of us are going to be in some magazine kind of thing.
All right, I'll put the link in the chat for this is Madscribe 1. I'm not sure what issue my article is going to be in, but if you want to get the back issue for issue 1, it is right there.
There we go. There you go. You could check out Madscribe. So what is this? A fantasy like role-playing game magazine?
Yeah, they do a lot of different fantasy kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of role-playing games and all that kind of stuff, board games, talk about AI, to deal with, to connect to gaming and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, and speaking of which, one of these days, I don't know when, I thought it would be fun. RJ, you're invited. I'm gonna take my V&V rules, the superhero role playing game that I'm always talking about, and we're gonna roll up a character. I figure, everybody in the chat will put input and we'll make a character, and then maybe somebody in the chat with artistic ability could draw it for us. Who knows? Maybe he'll show up in an issue of Heroic Tales or something. I'm just gonna show everybody how this game works. I'll put my camera right here, and we'll roll up a character. I think that would be a fun thing to do.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. Any thoughts on Marvel's Black Cat race swap? I don't know anything about it.
Me either.
Again, I don't follow Marvel anymore, and I don't even watch the movies anymore. I'm at the point, RJ, where any movie, TV show, I don't watch anything new. I wait until other people that I trust their opinions tell me that it's good. Like I'm just tired of watching 7 hours into a show and then I get the lecture on transgenderism, and I'm like, I'm almost 60. I every hour is precious. I'm not going to waste it watching some TV show that's going to lecture me, or race swap or gender swap. I have zero tolerance for any of that. So I don't know anything about this, Tony. I didn't see the trailer. Did you see the trailer for James Gunn's Lanterns?
I did not.
I just saw stills from it, and I'm seeing everybody's reaction. So I didn't see the trailer. I don't want to see the trailer. Again, this falls into what I was just talking about. But they took the most bright, imaginative, bombastic, superhero, and they turned it dull and dreary. So why do this to the Green Lantern? Okay, you responded to what I said. George Morales says hello. RJ, have you ever submitted to the Bizarre Archive magazine?
I haven't submitted to magazines in a long time, so I couldn't even remember if I did or not. It's been a while. I don't think. If I can't remember it, I would probably say no. I used to do a lot of back way long ago, let's say 10, 15 years ago, I used to do a lot of stories and things like that, and submit them to Dragon-like magazines and e-zines and all that kind of stuff.
Culture war? What culture war? Those people don't have culture. Yeah, I know. I'm so sick. I'm so sick of white people culture. It's like literally you can't see the forest for the trees, or it's like a fish not understanding the ocean. And knock it off. Oh, there's your link. Just saying hello to everybody. Hey, Ryan, good to see you. Ryan was on my channel a couple weeks ago. He's got the Comic Solo Legion. Does your RPG use the usual base status like strength, dexterity? They use strength, endurance, agility, intelligence, charisma, and I think I'm missing one. But I added a few like will, and I'm working on my own role playing system that I'm tinkering with. Well, with Marvel's Ultimate Universe ending, and since they're rebooting different Ultimate Universe, it was the shortest. Oh, okay. Again, even if I was collecting Marvel, I don't get alternate universes. I want regular Batman, regular Spider-Man comics to be good. And Jack Can with the blessing. How you doing? All right, so we're all caught up on the comments, RJ. So RJ, you picked the topic.
Yeah, I'm going to go through a couple of things on my Twitter, but there's an artist that I'm trying to think of the artist name for the life of me. Is it Michael Golden? He used to do Micronauts.
Yes, that's Michael Golden.
Okay. Now, to me, he always worked on books that I never followed. Micronauts is something I only got into the last couple of issues, and he did Star Wars for a while and things like that. But to me, he would be an underrated artist because I never really read the books that he actually drew most of the time. So that would be going through the stuff for my Twitter. Here, I'm just going to share my screen for my Twitter because Let's see
I
here.
think Michael Golden, for those of you who don't know, he did the first year of Reichonauts. The first 11 was one epic story, and they collected it. Just go out and get it. Just go out and get it. I didn't realize this at the time, but he was like a Neil Adams inspired artist. But I didn't know Neil Adams until I was in like late high school. But what a great talent. You're absolutely right. He doesn't get the recognition he deserves.
This is my Twitter. Just to let everybody know, it's RJ at the island, RJ of the island. Here's a picture. So I'm going through. I started posting again every day, several times a day, just to break up my day. It takes 5 minutes, and sometimes I just schedule them. But here's a picture from GI Joe, which got like 25,000. I think it's impressions.
I think you can click on that picture itself, and then they'll say open up in a new screen, and it'll be gigantic.
Okay, let me see here. But I do not know if anybody knows who the artist is on this. Everybody keeps asking me, and I don't know the artist's name. So a lot of people know it won't open for me. But anyway, if anybody knows the artist for this piece, let me know. So
I don't know, but it looks familiar, and I bet you when somebody says the name, I'm going to be like, "Yep, of course." My gut reaction is I think he did the X-Men for a while. I kind of recognize that art.
I always post some really good Conan stuff. So who is this artist, John, off the top of my head? It's not Kubert, obviously, but he used to do.
Make it bigger.
Does it go bigger when I enlarge it like that?
Yeah, that's fine. That works. That looks like one of the Kuberts.
Yes.
I can't tell which one. If you could scroll down, is there a signature on the bottom?
No, not that I'm aware of.
But the eyes in Conan's face make me think that it's one of the Kuberts. Oh yeah, Adam Kubert, right there on the bottom.
At the bottom. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Adam Kubert was always one of those artists that I knew of tangentially because I had so many war comics and things like that in my collection because of my uncle. Not something that I would get myself, but the war comics were always all over the place. Although here we go. I was going to say with the Michael Golden stuff, if you look at his stuff from, I can't remember if he followed Walter Simonson, because Walter Simonson did do some, if I remember correctly, did do some Star Wars stuff. But his Star Wars stuff looks like it's inspired, or at the very least, he was sitting next to Walter Simonson for Michael Golden. Anyways, there was some.
That is beautiful. Who is that? Walter Simonson?
As far as I know, this is Walter Simonson. Yes.
Because there's something about his lines that scream Walter Simonson to me. But that is gorgeous.
Walter Simonson would be, to me, again, I always say this for everybody. He's like one of the top artists ever, even though he's so angular. I like the fact that Walter Simonson has angular art. I love these Savage Sword of Conan covers as well. Yeah. And there's some, there's Art Gem doing Red Sonja, just in case anybody wants to know, because I do post some new stuff, but they're not dynamic at all. I would usually say new stuff is not very dynamic, but they certainly capture the likeness well. How's that?
Yeah, that's gorgeous. This is somebody that you know?
No, Art Gem does is a two-man team from Japan that does Marvel covers these days.
Oh, look at that poster. I had that poster in my bedroom. Scroll down for a second. That Gandalf poster.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's a blast from the past. Holy moly. Wow. I had that in my bedroom as a kid. That was like so Led Zeppelin to me. That I right now in my mind, I'm listening to side 1 of Zeppelin 4.
This is very much, we were talking about Art Nouveau there last week, 2 weeks ago, but one of your artists is doing an Art Nouveau style cover. This to me, with the whole bracketing of the entire thing, and then you got little bits of everybody around the corners. I have no idea who this artist is, by the way, but you got Gollum there in the middle and the bottom.
But that just brought a smile to my face seeing that. Can you call yourself a comic artist when all you do is covers?
No.
Okay. I was going to say yes in the loosest definition, but what I mean, you gotta do the interiors. That's Gil Kane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Gil Kane.
There are who I don't know who asked that question. Was it? I wasn't looking at the screen, but there was. I did a video a while ago about Marvel artists, current ones at the very least, a couple of years ago, who just do covers.
Yeah,
and
like
talking about how they hate sequential art. That's why they only do covers. If you can't do sequential art and you don't like sequential art, no, you're an illustrator. That's you're not really.
You convinced me. You convinced me.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I had
books are sequential art. If you just want to do a static image, that I mean, like what's his name? Frank Frazetta started out doing comics and then just became, what do you want to call him? A painter. Towards the end.
Yeah, and like Bill Sienkiewicz, I would say would be the same. I mean, he started off as a comic artist and he did comics for a while, but then he just started doing pieces, illustrations. So he stopped being a comic artist after a while. And a lot of people, I mean, even Art Adams right now, he doesn't. Well, he did put out a book probably, I don't know, like 5-6 years ago that I know of. But most of the stuff he does now is just plain illustrations. I wouldn't call him a comic artist anymore.
Alex Ross, like what, maybe a year and a half ago, did that Fantastic Four book, that hardcover.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that. I love the original Adams costume. That is just so great. I think this is the second week in a row that Ryan asked this question that I know you can't see it, but Ryan Banks says, RJ John, should heroes resort to cannibalism for survival or be willing to die of hunger as an example of not compromising their morality? That's a very specific question, Ryan. I wonder not to accept dinner invitations at your house.
Well, put it this way. I could never see Superman resorting to cannibalism. I just couldn't. No matter how difficult he got himself into a situation.
I could see the Punisher doing it, though.
Well, that's another thing. I was going to ask you, did Michael Golden do the NAM?
Yes, he started out with the NAM.
Okay, that's why
his career didn't start. He started number one on the NAM.
Yeah.
The writer's name is driving me crazy, Doug something, but there was Savage Tales Revival. There was the second volume of Savage Tales, only lasted 8 issues, and they did a NAM, Doug Murray, and Michael Golden, because they were both Vietnam vets. And they did this comic, but the name was something like 33 something. It involved like the 33rd parallel or whatever parallel. I know I'm messing it up, and it was a really great story. And then they did another story, and then they said let's do a comic, but they couldn't keep this title because it was just so obscure to normies. They changed it to the NAM, and oh my god, that made the news. We had Vietnam vets coming into the comic book store, that was a big deal. Yeah, I forgot that was Michael Golden, because to me, Michael Golden was always like cosmic superheroes, and then he started out doing a Vietnam comic, but he was very slow, so I don't think he lasted very long.
I just wanted to put this one up on the screen. I know John Byrne is not a underrated artist by any means, but I just love John Byrne so much, and so I know you do too, John.
Yeah, John Byrne is so good, and when they changed her costume and cut her hair, they ruined the character.
I think I don't.
Oh, you there? I think we lost RJ. That's so I will bring up one of my underrated artists until RJ comes back. Where's the image that I want to show? Here it is. Okay, so I hope RJ comes back. Frank Bruner, I'll make it big. I think Frank Bruner is one of the just the definition of an underrated artist. Like I think he's an artist's artist. I think he's a super comic book collector's artist. He did a lot of monster stuff. He did Man Thing. Werewolf. No, not Werewolf by Night. That's Mike Plug, another guy that I'll be talking about later on. And he did a comic called Warp that I'll bring up soon. But look at this. This is I just think he's so good. Just Frank Bruner, so good. Let me remove that and I'll bring up another image. Just making sure you can hear me. Everybody can hear me, right? This is from Elric of Melnibone. This is him talking to Grom, the tree god. Look at that. I'm going to make this bigger. This deserves to be bigger. Just look at that. That is so good. That is so good. That is John Byrne's Aurora there. Yep. Always immediately resort to cannibalism. It's only been 15 minutes. Yeah. I'm at work and I get hungry and I'll start thinking about biting my partner at work's arm. RJ lives in Iran. His internet got bombed. Oh, don't even joke. Don't even joke. Yeah, they gave her our short hair, but they gave her the Burma short. So I guess as a compromise. I never underestimate Bruno. Oh, good. Somebody, old dirty fatty knows Frank Bruno. That Doctor Strange art is good. It's a bit complicated. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, good. All of a sudden, but look at that. That is so good. Let me find another Bruno piece while we're waiting for RG to come back. I just love that. This is him like aping Steve Ditko, but just I think he's so good. Whoever did the Troll movies must have read that comic. Crazy amount of energy. Yeah, in that Elric of Melnibone with Grom. Did anybody read those novels? Those were such good novels. Green Knight is what it reminded me of. Yeah. So, RJ's coming back. Okay, just waiting for everything to load. How you doing, RJ? You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, yeah. It's the signal's got to come all the way from Canada, so it's got to go through customs. It's got to do all of this stuff, tariffs and all that stuff. So, I will. Oh, I don't want to be that big. There's nothing I can do, and I'm the only one here. So another underrated artist that I want to bring up is I want to show this for Frank Bruner Warp. I hope they have the image that I'm thinking of. I don't see the image, but there's some good warp art. This'll do. I just wanted to, because I didn't bring up any Frank Bruner. The way he draws women, I just think he draws some of the sexiest women. But this is from Warp. Warp is a terrible comic. The story is awful. A couple of weeks ago, the big hot topic was what's more important, art or story? And I'm one of those rational people that was just like, a comic book is nothing without either. I write comics. I don't draw. And I was talking to Marcus Kellegrew, who's drawing one of my stories. He says I'm really good with giving the artists credit. And my ego is satisfied when somebody looks at a page that Renzo drew or something, and they're like, wow, that's so good. I'm happy because I wrote those words. I'm the one who said, put that guy over there holding that sword this way, and that monster's getting punched in the face and stuff like that. So if you're liking Renzo's art, now you're also liking my words. So I'm happy. I don't need my ego stroke like that. Hey, RJ.
Sorry, everybody. I'm having technical issues. I need a new computer. Basically, I need a new computer.
We were joking that tariffs and socialism from Canada was interfering.
I just need to buy a new computer. I should have bought one in January, but I'm dragging my feet.
Yeah, I hate buying new computers. So I'm talking about Frank Bruner now. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but I'm talking about the comic Warp. This and I always say like, oh yeah, everybody likes Todd McFarlane's art, but nobody talks about this, you know, the art of a comic 10 years later. They're always talking about the story. This is the exception. This story is absolutely terrible. It's nonsense. Warp was a play written by a committee of hippies. So this is a comic book based on a play written by a committee of hippies. It is just terrible, but the art is so good. And it also has some of the first comic book art of Bill Willingham, one of my favorite artists. But yeah, so I just wanted to talk about Frank Bruner while RJ was MIA. What's going on here? Did I? Oh, I thought I just turned off the stream. All right. Anything? So what were you? They even tax your data plans. Yep. RJ, right now, as we're talking, he's paying a tariff. Every time he talks, he has to throw a penny into a statue of Karl Marx. The tariffs are on pause. Okay. Socialism countries. Bear, yeah, that's more like it. Bears are probably chewing on his. RJ is fighting bears while we're talking. Yeah, Warp. Warp was a comic by I think it was First Comics. And it is worth buying because the art is so good, especially the first 6 issues, but the story is absolute garbage. Crom the Destroyer looks 6. My Crom book won't be out for at least 4 to 3 years. Yeah, Crom Nick Atz is a good artist. He's a good artist. Notice how light she looks, almost weightless. Yes. That was a being of light. That was her. Art gets the book in your hand. Story keeps you invested. Absolutely. And speaking of a good blend of art and comics, this is Zaid Comics. This is Phil Diaz. Right now, he has the Man with No Strings. Issue 0 is out already. It was excellent. Issue 1 is going to be out. And this guy has his own printer, and he's printing his own comics. I love that. I love that. You know, such a go-getter. Install Gentoo. What is this? An ethereal god. Yep. Check out Mike Huddleston's coffin. Yeah, you told me about that. I got to check that out. Phil, got to be drawing the man with. Oh, Batmerk. You're drawing it as a fan guy. You're not the artist, but you're drawing it as a fan. Okay, and RJ, I'm gonna bring you up. Oh yeah, look at this.
I quite honestly do not know who this artist is. Someone knows the symbol down on the bottom right. You can tell me who it is, but this is a beautiful picture of Star Sapphire.
Yeah, it is. Star Sapphire. Yeah. I'm assuming the blue guy in the bottom left is a villain. He looks really cool. Oh, you talk about the Frank Bruner? Yeah. I forget his name. It's a story's garbage.
It's more beautiful John Byrne for everybody.
Yeah.
I post a lot of Red Sonja. Just let everybody know if they want to follow me on X, which is RJ of the Island.
Oh yes, I didn't notice that, but there's Spider-Man in the corner. So that's from Marvel Team Up then.
Yeah, Marvel Team Up. Yep.
Yeah. The 5th issue of Warp is the first appearance of Grimjack. RJ, many people don't understand the difference between humility and humiliation.
Difference between humility and humiliation is the fact humility comes from humos, which is Latin for close to the earth. So you're down to earth. That's basically what humility means. Whereas humiliation is someone pushing you down to the earth. There's a difference. We were just talking a little while ago, John, about these Khazar issues.
Oh,
so
yes.
I decided to Khazar to post a couple of covers for those as well.
This is a seriously underrated series. This was written by I think this whole series was written by Bruce Jones, who claimed to fame was a horror, but he did a good job. Little weird as far as how does it fit into Marvel continuity, but whatever. And also, little side note, this was the first Marvel direct market comic. So I remember like, ooh, it's going to be like adult. Like I thought direct market meant like nudity and stuff. It just meant more expensive. That's all it really meant. It was a regular comic. Oh, just fan art. Okay. Sweet. Okay. They're talking. Gentoo is the Skitchoid approved operating system. Okay. Take a guess. Okay. All right. I like people having conversations in the com. That Star Software drawing is good enough to be. Yeah, I know. It's almost fetish wear. And speaking of fetish wear, look at this.
I had to put George Perez in there. The one thing about what I try to do now, anyways, is this is from an actual book. This is a panel from an actual comic. So from now on, when I do make comics beautiful or make comic women beautiful again, or post something like that, I'm taking it from an actual panel, sometimes a cover, but it's got to be from a comic.
George Morales says that Kazar Volume 2 is the best Kazar run. I think I got to agree with you. RJ, you going to write any other Crom stories for the Crom anthology?
Yes. Well, I don't know about the Crom anthology, but I am writing other Crom stories, just to let you know, because you could purchase with the original Indiegogo campaign one of the standalone stories, which is sort of like a side quest that the main character did. And when you get to that point in the book, it basically says, go read this story. You don't need to actually read it for understanding the story of the book, because it's got little to do with what he actually does. It's just he goes and he's traveling for a while and he gets into things. So I've done a number of these stories, so I'm still writing a couple of them.
And then the next comment is Zaid. Have I ever read DC's Hitman? I just ordered the armor. Yes, it's my favorite comic book run of all time, as far as writing goes. It's Garth Ennis. I know Garth Ennis can be a prickly pear, and but he says that's his best writing. What I love about Hitman is it goes from the stupidest, goofiest humor ever to full-on horror in the next issue, and then the next issue is all philosophy, and then the next issue is just tearjerker. He does it all. It's so good. It starts off slow and it ends really, really good. Great run. Issue 34 with Superman is my favorite comic, my favorite single issue. Look at that. Is that John Buscema?
I don't know who inks it, though. I do believe it's John Buscema, but
Look
inking for that cover, it's just amazing. And as many artists have now told me over and over again, and Nick being one of them, that drawing horses is not easy.
Yeah, it's funny because I have a Western story, and nobody wants to do it because they don't want to draw horses. Yeah, and I had to actually promise that it's a Western because it's not that many horses in it, and they're like, well, what's not that many? Nobody wants to draw horses. Is Spider-Man and Red Sonja team up? But how? You got to read Marvel Team Up, because I don't remember how they actually get them together.
Has to do with what's his name? What's the main Red Sonja villain? I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Or
something like that. So,
not him. The other one. He also fought the X-Men. That wizard.
Yes, that's that story, that Marvel Team Up actually leads into a really good, which is basically 2-issue story arc. That's Spider-Man, and I can't remember what other book it's in, or if it's 2 Spider-Man titles that have it. But basically, all of New York gets turned into, let's just say, Conan times, right, for 2 issues, and Spider-Man gets crucified, and the X-Men turn into knights, and all this kind of stuff. So that is the backstory for the entire really great story arc, where again New York gets turned into a medieval city. Do you remember when that happened, John? When New York turned into a medieval city, you would have been right in the middle of it. What were you doing? You're probably a blacksmith back then, were you?
You
turned into a blacksmith?
Well, I was working at a comic book store at that time, so I guess I would be working the printing presses with backwards letters and stuff, because that was like 91, 92 when that comic came out. And then they did the same story in the Avengers with the same villain, with George Perez and Marv Wolfman, when they rebooted the Avengers. Same villain, whose name is driving me nuts. I can't remember his name. Tony Gringo wants to know who would win in a fight between Conan the Barbarian or Crom the Destroyer.
That I can't answer that question without giving away a lot from the story.
There you go. Read the book, Tony, and find out. Oh, cannibalism is always wrong. You know, we'll leave it at that. And by the way, buy my new book, The Donner Birthday Party. I'm only kidding. I don't have the book named Donner Birthday. I don't know.
I got a question for anybody out there who is a Conan fan. I find that when you get into the later Conan books, which is not even the Robert Jordan ones, but the ones before that, what's his name? He's got a French name. I can't remember off the top of my head. Desal, or what the heck is his name? Anyways, the ones that were done off of the original stories. So you have the original stories done by Howard, and then you have publications where they take those and put them into pulp fiction novels, things like that. I find that they're a lot more mythological when they get into the novel format. Whereas if you're going back to Howard's original works, it's much darker than a mythology. It's more of a grim and gritty world. You don't see things like satyrs or mythological figures like that. You see demons and you see a lot of warfare, but you don't see that kind of incorporation, I guess, of like a more classical world.
Batmerk is answering the question. Crom would win. He's Conan's god. But just to clarify, RJ, your comic book is not about the god. You have a character named Crom who's a human.
Again, got to read the book for that. Okay. That's a complicated point, John.
Okay.
That's a complicated point.
Howard was more grounded and plausible. And Colin Goth, that's the name of the wizard. Thank you, classy to me. Thank you. It was driving me nuts. That, and I'm choking to death on a potato chip. Last time I checked, AI has trouble with people and horses, especially centaurs. Yep. Colin Goth is the name of the villain in that particular issue. Mary Jane was the reincarnation of Red Sonja. That's right. That's right. John, if I ever get on my feet, I'll draw some horses. Okay. If you want to draw a Western horror, let me know. She brought Red Sonja to the present where she and Spider-Man had to team up and beat them. Not Belasco, Colin Gath. Thank you. Is that Conan on the horse? Yeah, Mary Jane was Sonja was Mary Jane. Thoughts on it? Yeah, Hitman. It's so good. Phil, when you read it, come on my channel. Let's talk about it because it seems to be like an under the radar series. Hitman is no joke one of my favorite comic book, if not my favorite run. It's got regular vigilantism. It's got superheroes. It's got war stories. It's got humor. And like I said, it has one of the silliest issues that just makes me laugh. I don't even want to talk about it and spoil it. It's just so stupid. And then it has the saddest single issue when you find out about Tommy Monahan is Hitman, when you find out about his mother. Oh my God. It's such, if you could read that and not be misty-eyed. Then they got stories about vampires. It is just everything you've ever wanted in comic books. And it's the same creative team, all 75 issues or 65 issues.
I was going to say, if anybody, if there's artists out there who's listening to this and they want basics of how to draw horses, Jack Kirby did a good, I think, 1 to 2 page spread of how to draw horses the Jack Kirby way, because he used to do Westerns before he got into superhero stuff. So he knew his stuff. It's out there on the internet somewhere. Search for it and you can find it.
It's funny because I'm not joking. I haven't asked Renzo yet because Renzo is my favorite for superhero stuff. But when I wanted to do a Western horror, I wanted to like a more Renzo's artwork is like so like what's the word that I'm thinking of? It's like happy and jubilant. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't work for a dark horror. And all of those guys, they were just like, oh, yeah, I'll work for you. I like you, man. You got oh, no, I'm not drawing horses. I'm like, okay, all right, fair enough. I'd rather you tell me you don't want to do it before you get 7 pages into it and quit, which has happened. With a lot of art, I always seem to elaborate stories. Okay. I love drawing art. All right, Batmark, let's see some of your art. Let's see some of your art.
Now, here's I'll say something which I don't think is controversial at all, but I think Silvestri changed the way literally that comics were drawn. Quite honestly, he was that influential because him and a few other artists around the same time, like Mark Texeira, started to leave in what basically I would say is pencil lines that you could see also transferred onto the inking, almost as if we'll say, I think it was, who is it, John Romita, or it was could have been Neil Adams, basically saying throw away your eraser. They didn't erase any lines whatsoever from what it looks like. Is these are the artists that didn't erase any of their pencil lines, and not only did the inkers not ignore them and just take whatever lines they wanted, but they started to put in the fuzzy pencil lines that normally you would take out. And I think that is the beauty of both Silvestri and Texeira's art. And you got Silvestri doing X-Men, which is the most influential thing that he did. I say Mark Texeira most probably be Ghost Rider. Both of those started to have a more fuzzy, is the only way I can describe it, and much more I don't know what you'd call it, but a much more lenient way to actually draw art and put it without having direct lines. Like Paul Smith, I had Paul Smith just a minute ago. Paul Smith, George Perez, John Byrne, all of those have extremely detailed line art, which is extremely specific to the character.
Right. I would say that like John Byrne's line art is crisp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Where I say Silvestri, it's very sketchy. I agree.
But I also, let me see here. I was going to pull it up.
Zach 10 is asking who this character is. This is Mark Silvestri drawn Witchblade.
There's some, let's see.
Oh, and I wanted to point this out to you, RJ. Where's the comment? Where's the comment? Somebody told us the name of who drew that Star Sapphire. And now I lost the comment.
I'm going to scroll back through some of this stuff, but there's some Silvestri. There we go. Right there. There's another one too. I'm going to go farther up, but there's some really good stuff that he did for Wolverine, the first ongoing Wolverine series. Okay. There it is right there.
Jewel said that it was Adi Gravnov. He did a reverse image search and said that Star Sapphire was drawn. You were asking who the artist was. Thank you, Jewel. I saw your comment and RJ was talking. I didn't want to interrupt him and it scrolled by and I couldn't find it. Thank you. Thank you so much. So change it from being a Western, but dinosaurs. Everybody loves drawing dinosaurs. I have a dinosaur story. Believe it or not, I have 2 dinosaur stories. And I asked Renzo which one he wanted to draw first. And he picked one of the dinosaur stories first.
That's funny because you'll notice, I don't know, if you follow things like Isekai, which you have manga in another world, I've never seen them use horses. They always use something else for mounts. And that could be the reason why they're like dragons or something else like that they use for mounts in a lot of these different fantasy books and shows.
I'm going to bring up an image. Okay. Batmerk, who's in the chat right now, just sent me a picture of him drawing horses. So I'm going to bring up his. I mean, he's in the chat right now. He's contributing. We're talking about artists drawing horses, so why not? So let me see if I can make this bigger. There we go. Is that too big?
No, that's good.
This is Batmerk's art, drawing horses. And people getting hit in the face with arrows. Shotguns going off. Looks like a guy's losing a hand over there. This is just freaking chaos going on. This is awesome. Batmerk, I didn't know you could draw. Cool. Look at that. Are you working on a comic, Batmerk? Cowboys and Dinosaurs would be an awesome comic. I wrote 13 songs and put them up on Suno. Seems like AI will be a thing in 2 years. Space is my profile. If you want to listen to them, steampunk, cyber. Okay, cool. Greg Doherty. Check it out. What is the name of your file? How do you get to your music? Bat Merck is thanking me. Okay. Somebody, oh, geez. Quick, RJ, put some art up before people realize how crazy my hair looks right now.
I'm trying to find some of Nick's horses, but all I got is Jim's right now, so I'm trying to find some of that stuff.
Here, I got something you would appreciate. I was looking at Ernie Chan. You put up Ernie Chan artwork, and I said he's an underrated artist, but this is Ernie Chan inking John Buscema. And John Buscema always said that he didn't draw beautiful women, and I have this as evidence against what he said. Look at that woman. That's just beautiful.
Ernie Chan art is one of the jewels of comics, and especially the way he came into comics, because Buscema did so much work. If anybody doesn't know this story, he did so much work that he started to outsource the inking to other people, and he got these Filipinos, Ernie Chan, I think, was one of them, who wanted to be artists. And he said, okay, ink, I'm just giving you rough sketches. He basically just drew rough sketches. He said, ink and put in all of the detail. And these guys decided this is their moment to shine. And they put in so much massive amounts of detail that they actually got to be artists themselves. And he started to do, Ernie Chan did not only Conan and some of the Savage Sword of Conan, but he also did the comic strip for Conan. I think most of it. So he became a beautiful Conan artist in his own right. But if you look at some of those early Buscema stuff where he has Chan as an inker, that was extremely massively detailed. And I can say that because I have the I can't remember. It's the Conan Treasury issue. And so it's an oversized book that's probably like 2 feet high, and you can see the detail on the inking by Ernie Chan in that book. It is intricate and all get out. It's something that you would see today on a computer because people are able to do that much detail on a computer. But having done it in the 1970s and 80s, that's amazing. All you had was brush at that time. No computer, nothing like that whatsoever.
Yeah, this is just pure Ernie Chan right here. I can't make it bigger.
I love that. We got Shogun Warrior and Godzilla at the same time. This is one of the series that they talk so much in this book. If you think that some of the modern books have a lot of dialogue, you go back to something like Godzilla or even most of Chris Claremont, and you'll see a lot of dialogue, but it's not the same kind of dialogue you'll get today. It's actually dialogue that moves things along.
Batberg says, I'm working on 2 comics and I'm launching Hell War, a biker Viking book on Friday 13th, and he rides a horse bike. That's right. You're coming on my channel the 19th, right? To talk about it. Hell War. That's right. Ernie Chan is awesome. Ernie Chan absolutely is awesome. So you got anything else you want to share, RJ?
Oh, I was sharing. I'm going to put this back up. One second. But talking about Silvestri again, to me, his art starts to look more and more as he gets into the X-Men and the Wolverine stuff. It looks so comfortable. He gets so comfortable with it. It starts to look like Jack Kirby. You know how Kirby always said that he never studied anatomy and he never got anatomy right. He simply had his own version of anatomy. And that's what I think Silvestri starts to go with when he is drawing, except for women. He draws women amazingly beautiful. But again, stuff like this is pure 1980s gold for comic books.
You know what I'm looking at too? You're talking about the art and everything. I'm looking at the colors. Just look how simple the color palette is.
Oh, yeah.
You look at that first top panel. Brown. Why brown? Shut up. It's brown. And then the second panel. Why is it gray blue? Shut up, it's gray blue. But it works. And then purple. Every panel is completely distinct. I find that that's a rookie colorist, and a lot of indie comics do it myself. Luckily, I stepped into some gold with two great colorists, so I think I didn't have this problem. Let me know if I have this problem. But a lot of indie comics, there's so much color, and each panel, like if you got like a frog in the woods, every panel is green, and then the leaves on the tree, and it's hard to distinguish the panels. It basically turns into like a smear on the page. But this page, every panel is distinct. It's almost like four portraits. You could 4 framed photographs put together.
Yeah. It's one of the things my colorist, I had to I'll say props to my colorist, because he is willing to change and to learn. That's one of the things that we had to do, because when we're doing flats and a lot of the stuff for Crom the Destroyer, I had to give him pages from, John Byrne's run in Captain America, and also the Heiku trilogy, which is an arc in Conan, Marvel's Conan the Barbarian. And I said, study the backgrounds, see how the different backgrounds actually change panel from panel. I understand it's in the daytime, but you can't have everything blue sky, blue sky, blue sky in the background. You're going to have to change it to something else. You got to have visual dynamism within the coloring from panel to panel to panel. I said, usually don't have more than one background color the same throughout one page, maybe twice if you have to push it, but you have to figure out difference in background color. I think that's one of the important things,
especially if they share a border.
Oh, definitely. And that's the one thing about Conan the Barbarian, especially the Buscema's run and Conan the Barbarian, which is the majority of it for Marvel. But I found out after looking through it over and over again, preparing for Crom the Destroyer, there is usually one panel on every page that has a red background. And it's a panel where you have something which is not exactly dynamic, but is supposed to show some kind of movement. So basically, if you have somebody yelling, or Conan's yelling out something, so you don't have a whole lot of movement on the panel, but he's yelling, therefore there's movement within his voice, so they give it a red background. Or someone gets hit in the head, something like that, you get a red background. That's why, that's the way the colorist in that book operated, and I tried to incorporate that into our coloring as well.
It's funny, in Patriarch #1, Renzo he drew the Patriarch punching somebody, and he didn't put in any backgrounds on this panel, and it's right in the middle. So I talked to Oscar. I said, could you just put the background of this red? And Oscar knew exactly what I was talking about. He's like, like an old bar. Yeah. And then Renzo 2 days later goes, oh, I forgot. I sent you the wrong one. And there was all backgrounds in that panel. You know what I mean? But it was funny. But I was happy with it. I'm like, oh, cool. We're going to be able to do like an old Marvel style thing and just make one red panel of, with violence, but I think that works.
Just some Kirby goodness for everybody. I think this is from 2001.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
I just have to laugh at this comment, Jewel. Kirby never studied anatomy. Who would ever have known with all those goofy drawings? Yeah. Kirby put like an extra joint in an arm sometime. But you know what? It worked.
What did you call them, John? Old sausage fingers?
Yeah, old sausage fingers. Yep. That's what the owner of my comic book store used to call them, old sausage fingers, because you definitely don't want to shake hands with a Kirby character.
Having worked on the docks, I kind of know those kind of people.
Yeah,
their hands are just bigger than their heads.
There was this guy that I worked with, just a big guy. He always had a flat top and a big square jaw, and he would shake your hand, and you're like, "Cut it out, knock it off. You don't have to shake my hand out." You know what I mean? Like, cut it. And it was like shaking hands with like a package of kielbasa. I was like, knock it off, jeez. Just a big, strong guy. Very fun though. You couldn't help but like him. If the boomers get out of the way, let Gen X take over the world, we had grit and daredevil type movies. I can't speak tonight. Words are difficult. Did any of you ever see Kirby's drawings for Conan?
Yes.
No, I saw the early Barry Windsor Smith. That might as well be the same thing, right? The first 4 or 5 issues.
Yeah, first 4 or 5 issues of Conan the Barbarian. Barry Windsor Smith was channeling Jack Kirby all the way. But I don't think there's only a few that I've come across with Jack Kirby's Conan the Barbarian. And I've said this before, especially when going over both Commandi and Devil Dinosaur. Fantasy is not Kirby's wheelhouse. I mean, not magical fantasy, as in you have Out in the Stars fantasy. Yeah, no problem. You want technology, no problem. But you start throwing in rocks and trees and things like that. And yeah, not only did Kirby not care about not studying human anatomy, but he would draw fish that look like they're probably something out of prehistoric times. His anatomy for most things doesn't work, and therefore if you have large anatomy content, his stuff doesn't really work as well as if I can make up an entire background made it of circuitry.
Can I show off something from one of my comics?
You go right ahead.
We were talking about colors, and I just want to show this panel. What am I doing? Oh, I got to remove yours first and add that. But look at this. Oh, it's not coming off well. Damn it.
That's Renzo, but that's really different for Renzo.
Yeah, this can I make it? It's like so, because we added like a dot matrix to it. But you
can see that in the background. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, it's so big that the dot matrix is coming through. But this is Renzo and Oscar. This is one panel. This woman's walking through the subway, walking through the sewers, and she comes across a witch, and she's got it all stuff. But oh man, it's just so big that the dot matrix is kind of ruining it.
John, I'm gonna say this, and everybody has to realize that Renzo's been my artist for a long time. I can automatically tell it was Renzo. Number one. Well, I'll say number 2 first. Number 2, because his early stuff, he did a lot of cartoony stuff, so I could see that in the old woman's face. But number 2, I can see the woman's butt in the panel, and that's pure Renzo woman. Yeah. That's a pure Renzo woman right there.
Yeah, I can't make it small, but yeah, I just love the coloring in this, the light source and everything. It's going to be so much better on the page. Yeah, but yeah, this witch is like half humorous, half serious. I was going to say scary, but she's not scary. But I just love this. So this is from a story called A Rock in a Hard Place. This is his character. This is Bill Williams' character, Mel, from Punchline. She's trying to get her own superpowers, and she makes a deal with this witch to get her superpowers, but the cost is a little too high. So this will be 12 pages in Punchline. Giant size Punchline number 1 this summer. So there you go. And Bill Williams is now RJ's letterer. Oh, look at this. This is Polaris. Who's this artist? This isn't.
That's Stroman. I love.
Oh, that is Stroman. Okay. That's not the same one who drew that Lady J, then, is it? The eyes.
No, not as far as I know.
Jack Kirby has a unique style. You got that right. What the F? What the F it about? Damn, I have that issue with Jean Grey. Yeah, that was X Factor. That's Walt Simonson on X Factor. Where are we? I love reading all the comments, guys. Thank you for all the comments. RJ and John, Kirby's goal was to entertain the audience through dynamic art. Yeah, exactly. That paint portraits. You're absolutely right. I got into this argument many times. I'm an acolyte of Kirby. I love Jack Kirby. I think he's without a doubt one of the most important comic book artists. And you can argue with his anatomy. You could argue with. I don't think Kirby really made the most beautiful women. Even his romance comics, even the teenagers looked like they were 40 years old. But what you couldn't argue with was his imagination and his action. Oh my God, whatever flaws he had, and Kirby did have flaws. he overcame those flaws with imagination and action, and that's hooked us all on comic books. What advice would you give a writer with art block, RJ?
I don't understand if you're a writer with art block.
I guess writer's block. I mean, is that what
So
you?
writer's block. This is what I always do when you're staring at a blank page. I always start by doing all of the technical things that need to be done in order to write the page. Like I say, I always start page whatever. Let's say page 20, and then I do panel 1, panel 2. I usually put 5 panels and start there, and then I sketch out the panels, and if I still can't get anything, then I do the dialogue, and after I do the dialogue, everything I have enough on the page for the entire thing to flow, because the whole point of comic books, well, not the whole point, I think one of the beautiful points of comic books that make it unique is the fact that the limitations direct you to where you have to go in order to make everything make sense, because you got a certain amount of panels on a page, and you have to, like I'm with John, you have to change scenes at very specific intervals, at page breaks and things like that in order for things to make sense. So the limitations allow you to move forward and think about your audience and how this will make sense to them.
Yeah, I can't answer the question because this is gonna sound like the most arrogant thing. I never get writer's block. My problem is I never have enough time to write. If I was talking to RJ right now, I'd be writing something.
George, I'm pretty sure this is Strowman, because look at the Strowman hair for Polaris is, well, any character, but Polaris specifically is very, very detailed. He always does that. As far as I'm concerned, I 100% say this is Strowman.
So I guess Jewel is not a fan of Kirby. Okay, I'm not gonna get mad. I love Kirby. It's the face. I'm not that familiar with Strowman. I gotta read more. He's gonna be one of those guys. I'm gonna go through my collection and be like, oh, that was Strowman. I didn't realize it. That was Strowman. I didn't realize it.
So the reason why, John, is because he started off with his main book for comics. When he really broke out was volume 2 of Alien Legion.
Right, and I only bought that recently. I haven't read Alien Legion yet. I got to read it. Tony Grigo says, I always thought Kirby, Sue Storm, and Big Barter were I always thought Big Barter was beautiful. Something about Big Barter I thought was beautiful. But Sue Storm, half the time, either she looked like a young girl or she just looked like a frumpy old maid. It wasn't until really, like, I got to say, like, what's his name? George Perez kind of made her. Around George Perez, she started to look pretty. Oh, look, is that my Kaluta?
I think so. This is his early. It says 1987. I think it's one of the covers for The Shadow.
Yeah, that's my Kaluta. I can see his name in the corner. How did you learn the formatting of writing comic book scripts? RJ, why can't I read? RJ, how did you learn the formatting of writing comic book scripts?
Well, for my first, just let everybody know, for my first book, I actually put out a script. It was a full-size, like, separate graphic novel, basically. And I said right at the very first, this is just me doing it as I see fit. Don't take this as a pattern. But the best that I could come up with was to go online. There is various websites that catalog old scripts for comic writers. They also have some newer ones from people like Kelly Sue DeConnick, and I would not touch that with a 10-foot pole just to make fun of it.
I read that. That's the one that says, make sure every woman is a lesbian and in charge.
Oh, John, you are not far from the truth.
And it says, remind the audience every 3 pages of those facts.
Oh, yeah. So like if she was doing
this, you just say, I'm a lesbian and I'm not going to take this Galactus.
The stupid book that I won't even mention the title for that she did, that was one of her standalone comics that she made. She literally is talking to the artist in one of her scripts that's posted online, saying, make this woman look overly fat and obese with rolls coming out here and there in order to get rid of the male gaze and all that kind of stuff.
Because that sells. That's what sells comics.
That being said, the scripts that I would gravitate towards were Chris Claremont, Alan Davis, did some really good scripts, and again, a couple of them, they have posted them online for archive's sake. So you go back and look at those great comic writers and see how they did it. And I'm sure there's probably other books out there as well, not just online, but actual books. But I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Jewel is backing you up. He says, according to reverse image search, the artist for the green hair girl is Strowman. So there you go. You were right. Right? You called it out as Strowman, right?
Oh yeah.
Could you go back down to that Lady J thing? Jewel, could you reverse image search Lady J, or go on RJ's Twitter and scroll down until you find Lady J? Because me and RJ would love to find out who that artist is.
I searched it myself and I couldn't find out. John, this is one of my favorite books in the world. This Art Adams stuff. Again, we're not talking. Art Adams is definitely not an underrated artist, but I love this book.
Alpha Flight, or
yes, this is where they're in Valhalla, because you got Enchantress there,
right? Or is it the X-Men Alpha Flight?
No, it's not the X-Men Alpha Flight. It's the X-Men New Mutants.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, it was one of the annuals, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So the top right hand corner, Magique. I remember redrawing this panel, and it took me like well over a week, but I redrew it on a single sheet of paper.
It probably took Art Adams a week too. It was very slow.
The thing was that every last character, I mean, we're talking about, let's say, I post this a lot to say make comic women beautiful again, but if you look at that, every panel has a beautiful woman in it, in the foreground and the background. It's like he did not skimp on any kind of detail. You look at Enchantress in the background of panel 2, panel 3 on the right hand side, top right hand side. You get Enchantress in the background. I redrew Enchantress. Like, how is this a background character that has no color whatsoever? This is beautiful.
Yeah. I've always liked Art Adams. And I love like that panel down there with the arms outstretched with the circles. The horns are going across the panels. I'm sure other people did it first, but Art Adams was the first time I really noticed it.
That's actually a medieval invention, John. It comes from, the first noted one that I can think of from medieval art was St. Bridget. They did an amazing painting of St. Bridget, and St. Bridget was known to, basically the story was that she was an Irish saint. She fell asleep in one place and she awoke in another, and the story is that angels took her from one place to another, and that's how she transported from one place to another. So when they did the medieval painting of St. Bridget, you had her being carried by angels, but the angels' wings went outside of the panels of the actual picture itself in order to show the angelic nature of how they could not be contained.
Oh, cool. I'm doing that in the Sleeper Agent story. Luke Stone is drawing it for me. And anything in the dream world is behind the panels, and everything in the real world is in front. So you'll see things moving around. I don't know. All I gotta say is Luke has infinite patience for me. Like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. That's not, but it is, the final product is like 90% of what I pictured in my head. And Luke's like, no, it's fine. That's what you wanted. I'm an artist. I'm a pro. That's fine.
I love this cover as well.
Yeah.
This is Barry Windsor Smith, as far as I know.
Barry Windsor Smith has he puts a lot of like cylinders and roundish edges in his work. Look at that.
I can remember, John, we were talking a long time ago about can you remember when you read certain books? And this is how I chronologically keep things in my head about my childhood, is what comic was I reading at the time?
Yeah,
I can remember sitting in a parking lot with my mother's tiny little car, with my two brothers, waiting for the stupid dentist to open, because
my coffee while you're talking. I can still hear you.
The three of us had appointments to get a checkup, and I was let's say 10 years old at the time, if I remember correctly. I was probably a little older than that looking at this cover. But I was reading this book while I was waiting my brother to come out from the dentist so I could go in, because we're all sitting there waiting in the car. So, this is how I think of things chronologically in my head. I'm very bad with dates and even with years, but I can remember the comic books that I was reading at very specific times.
Yeah. When I first started my channel, that was one of the things. If you look at my old videos where I just take a comic and talk about it for 10 minutes, I talk about where I was when I bought it, where I was when I read it. I'm sure everybody who's into comics could do that.
Beautiful Jim Lee run on, this isn't Mandapore, but it's the X-Men run, and this was the original, if I remember correctly. It was after the X-Men Australia Outback run, because they all got sucked into a portal which wiped their minds, and they appeared at different parts of the earth. And Psylocke,
Perilous, they called it.
Yes, and Psylocke, I think, wound up in Mandapore, and she became basically an assassin for one of the mob bosses there, if I remember correctly. Good storyline.
People are asking you, RJ, in the chat, did you see this? I can't find the question, but did you see the new Red Sonja film? Oh, here it is.
I have not seen the new Red Sonja film. I've heard spectacularly awful things about it, but I'm not opposed to watching it if I get the chance. But I wasn't going to go, to the theater to watch it or anything like
that. George Morales says he actually paid money at the theater to see it. So there you go. Yeah, the woman is like, she's attractive, but she's like a little sliff of a girl, right? She's like you need somebody like a Gina Carano or what's the other one? The other MMA fighter. Like
I would not mind, quite honestly, if they stuck to the original Red Sonja story. Well, not original. I guess it was partly original, but let's say if they stuck to the Marvel Red Sonja story, and that's who owns, I don't know if that's who owns the character now or not. I guess not, because Marvel's not publishing anymore. But if they stuck to that kind of a story, the Marvel Red Sonja story, I wouldn't care if they had a little slip of a girl actually playing her, because the whole point was that she has a goddess giving her a special blessing so that no man can ever defeat her in sword fighting. And that's the whole thing. That's why she wears the stupid metal bikini as armor, because the point is that she does not care. She cannot be defeated by a man when in a sword fight. Just absolutely doesn't care.
See, I never read Red Sonja as a kid, but I have like the odd comic every once in a while. Like I said, comics just magically teleported to my house. Other people threw them away. They disappeared and they appeared at my house. So I read the odd Red Sonja, but I never got her whole mythology. So I didn't know that about her. But I've been slowly building up a Conan and Red Sonja. So I'm going to sit down and actually read it. I just don't like now that she's like associated with Gail Simone these days. That's nice.
Art Adams doing Red Sonja, but
that's
Art
Adams.
Who the inker is.
Oh, this
no,
is
sorry,
Bruce...
not Art. Neil Adams. There's Neil Adams.
Yeah, and Patterson, Bruce Patterson.
Yeah,
inking. That is an odd combo. I love Bruce Patterson's art. Wow, that is an odd combo. I never would have. They both, like it morphed into neither one of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this was one of the pinups for Savage Sword of Conan. I can't remember what issue, sorry, but I do know it's a pinup for Savage Sword of Conan. So that's why it's only a one panel thing. That's why you got Neil
I didn't
Adams.
know she had a magical protection. That's why I didn't believe of like a skinny little girl beating people. But now that RJ explained it, that she has basically superpowers. I mean, if you have superpowers, like Helen Slater being Supergirl could lift up a mountain, you know what I mean? If she has superpowers. I just thought she was supposed to be this badass warrior. To me, part of being a badass, like if Woody Allen was playing Conan, I wouldn't buy it either. You know what I mean? Just because he's a man. Look at that face. She kind of looks like Bette Davis. She's got Betty Davis eyes.
Last time I posted this and I said, make comics women beautiful again. They're like, are you sure about that, RJ? I'm not sure Alan Davis is drawing her as a beautiful woman, but I'm thinking to myself, this is very much an English beautiful woman. How's that? Which is what Psylocke is at this time. She's an English lady, right? So
That was damning with faint praise, or yeah, it, yeah, a lot of people think she's ugly, but she's not ugly. She's just English.
that's one of the things I've said this probably multiple times on my channel, anyways, is the fact that one of the stupid things that I hate about AI and about modern artists is they don't understand. Like, there is a very specific look to both male and female English people and French people and German people. And if you go back to, like, say, film noir, or even 1930s, any 1930s, 40s, even 50s, I was extended into the 60s sometimes. Look at movie stars. You can see in their faces a very specific look of where they come from. If you're trained to look at it.
You could also, like you don't see people who look like Robert Mitchum anymore. That's like an old.
Yeah, no.
There's a lot of faces that have just gone out of style. You ever just look at pictures from the 40s and 30s? Like a lot of faces are just part of the past. And it's funny because I think women's faces come back. Like I've been looking at one of my favorite. I can't talk anymore, RJ. I apologize. One of my favorite tweeters is Norchicks, and it's just I think it's a woman who just posts black and white Hollywood pictures from the 20s and 30s, and these women are so beautiful. And she's the one that pointed out, she goes, look at these faces, this looks like a modern beautiful face. And then she's like, look at this face is you'd only see this in the 30s and 40s. And so I do think that, like, women's faces, there's like a cycle, but men's faces, like Abraham Lincoln, nobody looks like Abraham Lincoln. You know what I mean? Like, is Abraham Lincoln human? Because he resembles nobody.
For the majority of characters that I have, if I'm doing a beautiful woman, I give to my artist a picture from a starlet from the 1930s or 40s. I want to give them a unique face. I say, take this picture, take these collection of pictures. This is what she looks like. And for Fate Blue, which is set back in the 30s, I took a bunch of stills from old Hollywood stars and starlets, gave them to Henry, my artist, and said, this is what they look like. This is what their faces look like. So, this is how you're going to draw it. Again, it's one of the things I hate about these people trying to draw modern things into old context stuff. Even the X-Men stuff that they published the last couple of years, where they're taking stories from the 80s and then adding something to it. And they did a Wolverine where he's in Mandapore, like to say this story happened between issue whatever and whatever of Wolverine, the original series. I did an entire video on it saying, no, this does not look like this belongs in 1984, 1985, and whatever year it was supposed to be.
Coloring and the fashions and probably.
Oh yeah, and it's just the way that people look. Right. And the way that you see people in the background hunched over like they're a bunch of, the meme of the hunched over guys, whatever it is. I can't remember what they're called.
Wolverine says something to Jubilee. Jubilee goes, "That's right, 6'7". It's like, no, you know what I mean? Like modern.
Exactly. Visually, that's what you're getting. So that's why it's like, no.
Jewel says this, it's hairstyles and stuff. That's the way people look there. It's funny that you said that, Jewel, because I was also looking at another Twitter, whatever they're called, tweets, follows, I don't know. But it was somebody using AI or Photoshop, I don't know what it is, and they were taking old actresses and putting modern hairstyles on them. Like, one of them was, Ann B. Davis in the Brady Bunch. She was like 40 years old, but she looked like she was 60. Excuse me. So he put different hairstyles on her, and she looked 20 years younger. So like, another one was they put men's hairstyles on Archie Bunker in the first season of Archie Bunker. Archie Bunker was like born 80 years old, but he was in the first season of Archie Bunker. He was younger than I am now, but I hope you think he looked older. And they put different hair on him, and it's like, yeah, he looks like a guy in his 30s. But yeah, you're right. Hairstyle, clothes, And I do think like smoking and like, I don't know, just people had like harsher lives. They you know they worked harder. It just, especially those pictures of regular people from the 30s.
Now, here's a discussion I had with a couple of people about this picture because the internet says it's Jim Lee, and I'm looking at it going, that's William Portico.
I can't argue either way. I don't think that's Jim Lee.
No, I think it's Portico. Quite honestly, I'm looking at
George is agreeing that he says that's Jim Lee. I don't know. I think if I casually looked at it, I'd say Jim Lee. But now that I'm looking at it, my gut is saying it's not Jim Lee. But you see these explosion lines? I'm putting my cursor over like the black, in towards the edges. That looks like Jim Lee. But I don't know. Jim Lee.
I'm going to zoom in as much as possible and say, if you look at the X-Men in the background, I know this is very small for people, but if you look at the X-Men in the background, these are stances that Portico would do specifically, as far as I'm concerned.
This Jim Lee, to me, nothing ever had depth. Everything was just in the foreground. Even stuff that he put in the background was in the foreground. The fact that Angel does look like he's a good 30, 40 feet behind her, I know people are gonna get mad at me and you're gonna email me, but like Jim Lee to me was always like flash rather than substance. Like it looks good, but like it just seems surface level. This looks a lot better. If this is Jim Lee, then this is some good Jim Lee. Jewel, could you reverse image search this? You said when you did it came up as Jim Lee, so it's going to say Jim Lee.
Yeah, everything that I reverse image search on this says Jim Lee. I'm thinking absolutely not. That's Portico. This is one of the artists that I'd say, I don't know if I'd call him underrated or not, because he did do X-Men and he was fairly big for a while, but he has been completely forgotten as far as I'm concerned.
A lot of these guys left and do storyboards and stuff. All the image found, with the exception of Keith Smith, Sam Keith was. Yeah, I agree.
Because I can remember, again, to me, Portico would be one of the inspirations for Thomas Valley #2, which we're still working on with Renzo. I gave him a whole bunch of, because we have basically cyber ninjas in part of the storyline, and I gave him Portico's stuff and say, this is what they look like, and Renzo riffed off of that in order to create some spectacular characters. But to me, again, you're looking for, let's say, a American comic book version of cyberpunk from anime. You go to Portico and he does it spectacularly well. It's much more light and less apocalyptic when he does it, and it's beautiful 1980s American comic book colors, so everything's bright and all that kind of stuff, so you wouldn't think of it in those terms, but if you took it and put it in black and white, you can see the influence there, if you ask me. And his stuff is amazing, especially in X-Force. You got Strowman and then Portico coming on for X-Force, so I mean, after, of course, Simonson did it, and I can't remember who was after Simonson, but you got like tour de force for the original couple of story arcs for, well, not story arcs, but original teams for X-Force.
So Jewel says he tried to do the reverse search and it doesn't say. I know, repost it on Twitter and say, does anybody knows who drew this? Somebody release it into the autistic mind hive and they'll find it.
I think my way of actually thinking about this is I'm going to go down a rabbit hole of Portico's art and see if I can find it there.
Okay.
Just to let everybody know, here's some good character sketches. One is for Fade to Blue. This is one of the characters from book 3. We just did a character sketch for it, and my artist did beautiful job. And then we got tiny little panel from Crown the Destroyer, which Nick had reposted. So This is actually, we were just talking about this. This is one of the stories inside a story. This panel here is from, it's only one panel because the story for what's going on right here is actually in the print story, the original first print story for Common Destroyer that you could get along with the book itself. So it's basically the main character going from place to place, having encounters, because I have an actual map which comes with it, and so he's got to go from point A to point B, and which is fairly far away. And this is one of the encounters that he has. So this is the only art that actually it's the second story, because the first story, the art is up on the Indiegogo page. But anyways, just let everybody know, I love talking about my own books, and hopefully we'll get Crom out there sooner rather than later.
I love that character sketch on the bottom. I want to know more about that character, but don't tell me. I want to read the book and find out. But that is awesome.
I don't know if I click on it like this, does it come up? I don't think it comes up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah. Okay, good. So yeah, so basically I gave the artist, gave Henry two different ways of going about trying to deal with this character. I said, you can either go one way and it's the one that's on the right, or you can go the other way, which is on the left. And he gave me this, and I said, okay, we're doing both, because it's like, okay, this is what they look like when they have the hoods on. This is what they look like when they don't have the cloaks and the hoods on. So
I love that. That is so good. Tony wants to know thoughts on Basil Wolverton. That's a good underrated artist. I'll pull up some Basil. I love Basil Wolverton. Can I show it? So this is Big Iron, the robot sheriff. This woman Nova is drawn. Nova creates. It's a whimsical story, so I like that she's going like Saturday morning cartoon. But I'm not going to tell you any more about this character. But I was so happy to see this. He's inspired by that Marty Robbins song with a big iron on his hip. I'm like, how did nobody make a robot sheriff named Big Iron? So in my comic is set in Science City, Arizona. Science City, Arizona is located where Signal, Arizona is. Signal, Arizona was a gold and silver mining town back in the cowboy days. And so he is the sheriff where my comic is set now, but in the cowboy days. So I just want to show that. Now I'm going to look up some Basil Wolverton art. That is a good. Oh, I wanted to show this. Let me. I don't like interrupting RJ because I always feel I talk too much.
I think I'm talking too much today, John.
Well, it's good because my mouth ain't working. But some Bill Everett. I know Tony's ears just got big, but I think Bill Everett is an underrated artist. The creator of the Submariner. I love his art. I think he's one of the best Golden Age artists. Just love this. Jules teasing you. He's going around having encounters. What is it, a Barbarella story? I love Bill Everett. Look at that. He's choking out a communist too. Look at the Submariner. Fights Nazis and chokes out communists. What else do you want?
I always thought Submariner. Well, I really love the John Byrne run, but he portrays the character much different than I actually think the character should have been portrayed. It's much more of an elf-like character with elf-like features.
You don't like that, or you think he should be more elven?
Well, like I said, I can't fault John Byrne for anything, especially that run, although I thought he was getting a tiny bit sloppy with his art when he got to Submariner, but he sort of redefined the look of the character. I always thought that it should look like you have on screen with the elf-like features.
Yeah, because he's not human, so emphasize the non-human stuff. But this is Basil. I remember seeing this. And this is Basil Wolverton, who's famous for he did a lot of science fiction for EC Comics in the 50s. And for the longest time, I didn't think he was a real person. I thought he was like a joke, Basil Wolverton. But he is bizarre. He wrote and drew, and they just left him alone. And he did whatever this madman. But look at that art, RJ. There's nobody like him. He truly is one of the most original artists. I want to get some of his crazy imagination stuff, but just
You know what's really funny, John, is the fact that where I live right now. So probably about 10 to 12 years ago, I went for a walk, and sometimes like I just go for walks and I end up in God knows where. Um, and it was like the next community over from where I live. And I walked down what looked like a basically a tractor path. And when I got to the end of it, I realized it was somebody's lane. And I came across a house that was in the middle of the woods. And this thing looked straight out of Harry Potter or some kind of science fiction um, creation. The whole thing was built on, I think, repurposed, so basically on stilts, so repurposed phone, electrical poles, and you had room and then room and then room, and they were connected by these winding staircases that basically weren't part of each room. And so every room, like it wasn't an actual house, it was room, 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 and it would go up and up and up. And so help me, as like somebody spent a lot of time trying to create this. So you do have actual buildings like that, especially today, where they now have the ability since the 1990s to computer generate the stress levels of everything and then make them into an actual building.
So this is, oh, what happened? Okay, this is Basil. It's just insanity. I mean, I'm a good looking woman, but it's a fascinating piece of art. Like I said, the other picture that I clicked on, I realized that wasn't Basil Wolverton, but this is just insanity. And there's literally no other artist like him. You recognize he's one of the most unique artists, and you recognize his art instantly. Lena the hyena. Thank you, Tony. I knew you would know. Yeah, yeah. But I love Basil Wolverton. Yeah. Namor is half human. Yeah, he's half human, half Atlantean. Yep. And one of my problems with Namor is he's half human, half Atlantean, and he's like the superpower. So don't you think like there would be like, of course there's Namora and now there's Namorita, but if every time a human and Atlantean mated, they had this super powerful being, don't you think there would be like a secret eugenics program of like, let's capture an Atlantean, steal their DNA, and make raise a race of like ultimate beings and take over the world and brainwash them? You know, that's immediately where mine goes. I'm very distrustful of governments and things like that. So like, to me, Namor has to be like, they tried it and it doesn't work. Like, he's just the fluke. You know, he is a mutant that he survived. You know what I mean? Otherwise, why isn't there a million of them?
They've now retconned the fact that Namor used to be the first mutant. Right. So he was listed in the 90s anyways as Marvel's first mutant and the oldest mutant, and that was one of the titles that he had in the 1990s to try to bring him back into sort of a Marvel fold, because he is born that way. But they've now, over the last year or so, tried to retcon the entire thing to make Storm the first mutant, and it's like
well, she's a strong, powerful black woman. She's got to be the first. She's also one of the first Marvel characters to speak loudly in a movie theater. I always wondered why they didn't do that with Peter Parker. Yeah, you're getting what I'm going at. Like why isn't Russia or China sending astronauts into space to like I know the UFOs were, you know, and the Red Ghost, but why isn't there just government programs of just launching ships into space and replicating the Fantastic Four powers? Like it needs to be like they all die or they turn into monstrous beings. You know, Namor was a fluke, or you know, so like, does the government know how Peter Parker got his powers? Is it common knowledge? And if it's not common knowledge, why don't they just assume Peter Parker's a mutant and then hate him? Oh, he's not a mutant. He was bitten by radioactive spiders. Then, like, why isn't like every kid replicating it? So that's one of the things I'm going to deal with in my comic is in Heroic Tales, you'll see Patriarch number 1. They talk about it. Every superhero has 2 origins: the real origin, and then the false origin, so that people don't try to replicate it. The government, once the Patriarch debuted and had powers, government handlers got into him, and like not made a deal that he couldn't refuse. He kind of saw the wisdom in it, and now he's playing along with the false origin, and Patriarch number 1, he the government keeps, like Darth Vader, they keep altering the deal, and finally he breaks away. So now he's finally his own man after years of living. But it's not like the government was bad to him. They gave him costumes and health care, and you know what I mean. But anyway, I digress. But Cracky Rules gets what I'm saying. Why aren't they? Not that they don't detonate gamma bombs, because they don't want more Hulks running around. That's too much power. But why not a bunch of armies of Spider-Man? Why aren't they confiscating Spider-Man's risk things? And can you imagine the police with webbing? They could apprehend all the George Floyds and whatever, and can't breathe. Well, you got spider webs on you, buddy. You're alive and you're fine. Nope, no BLM. Fletcher Hanks was an interesting Golden Age artist. I don't know him. I got to check that out. Fletcher Hanks. I'll look at him right now. RJ, do you have anything you want me to share your screen with?
Let's see. I have one more. Let's see. I think it's Jay Lee.
Okay, I'm looking up Fletcher Hanks. Oh, I've seen this guy. I just didn't know his name. This guy's very interesting. I've seen this panel billions of times. Oh, okay. I'll share this first. There we go. Yeah. See, that's Jay Lee, right? Is it?
Yep.
That's okay.
As far as I know, that's Jay Lee.
Because I don't know, I'm getting Mike Mignola vibes from that. But
too detailed for Mignola.
If that's Jay Lee, then that's what I'm talking about. There's no depth. Do you know what I mean? Like Jean Grey is at the same. It's just one dimensional. Not
Jim Lee, Jay Lee.
Yeah, Jay Lee. Yeah, okay, I'm getting Jay Lee, but that's the same thing. Yeah, I never liked Jay Lee. Yeah. Somebody's laughing. There are too many Spider-Mans as it is. I agree with you. Yeah. Jay Lee, I don't know. I could take him or leave him. That Spider Eater villain needs purging. So that, yeah. What eats spiders? Is there an animal that eats spiders? The pigeon. The pigeon comes in, or the possum. The possum comes and eats all the spider people.
Let's see if I can find. There was an interesting that I posted a while ago. Mike Mignola. I can't believe how many people love Mike Mignola. It's like one of the things about posting this art online is the fact that some of the stuff that I don't even think anybody will like, all of a sudden just blows up, and people just are like, this is amazingly beautiful, and they retweet the thing over and over again. And one of those would be Mike Mignola.
I love Mike Mignola on Hellboy. I didn't like Mike Mignola's Marvel one too much, but I love his Hellboy art.
It's way down. Oh, there's Mark Texeira. I love that run of Mark Texeira for Ghost Rider. That I got to stop there just for 1 second. I love this run. Anyways, scrolling down.
I quit Nemo when Jay Lee took over too. Yeah, I went back and bought them all because I'm crazy, but yeah.
Very right.
Going from Byrne to Jay Lee was too jarring for me. Yeah, classy to me. I say
there it is.
I'll accept, Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Spider-Girl, Spider-Boy. 4. That's it. I don't want, the only exception is the Marvel family. They were the first, so they get to break it. Yeah. See, this works. I'll Mike Mignola on Doctor Strange or Hellboy works, but Mike Mignola on Spider-Man or Superman doesn't work for me.
I know this is going to sound really bad because I like Mike Mignola. I think he's a beautiful artist. I've even tried to recapture some of his stuff when I used to draw. But to me, a lot of the time, Mike Mignola looks like somebody who doesn't know how to draw a drawing.
I don't know. It took me a while to like I got that Rocket Raccoon miniseries when it first came out, and I hated it because of the art. And what was it? Was it Cosmic Odyssey that Mike Mignola?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think I just put it away because I couldn't stand the art. But I love Hellboy. I think his art got a little bit better, but he created Hellboy, so I guess I associate it. But I don't know. Mike Mignola. I remember trying to get somebody to read Hellboy, and he opened it up and he looked at the art and he made like a face like. I was like, okay, he's never gonna like it. I like this. Spider Girl was a fun book. Yeah, Mayday Parker. That was a very good. That was Tom DeFalco. I didn't realize it, but I guess I'm a big Tom DeFalco fan. I love that Thunder Agents.
Oh yeah.
Loser Kirby. Now you're losing me. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Who did that?
This is a painted recreation of an original cover from Thunder Agents.
Yeah.
So who did the original cover? I don't know.
Wally Wood did. I want to say all the covers, but maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I never realized how much Mentor's costume looks like the Atom. Yeah, Thunder Agents Wally Wood. That's a good. Who is this? Dan Lawless?
Frazetta, I think, is doing this one.
From far away, that looks like the Dan Lawless face.
I'm pretty sure it's Frazetta. Definitely, if you look at the woman's face. I'm just scrolling now, John. So you go ahead and.
Oh, I had something I was going to show. Yeah. Hanks Fletcher. I'm going to show this. I'm sure everybody has seen this image before. Right? You've seen that?
Absolutely. To me, since I'm the person who goes through comic book stuff, I have seen this before, but I don't think many other people would have seen this before.
Yeah, I've seen this many times. Just crazy. But yeah, this guy artwork is so old and so dated, but it's so charming. It's like it's an imagination that we just don't show anymore, or we don't see anymore. Like these women with this, it's kind of sexy, but it's kind of modest at the same time outfits, and then they're just firing jet flames out of their foreheads, riding lizards. It's like an LSD trip. It's
leopard women on giant saurians. I have no idea.
This, because these people were like inventing comics. Nowadays, anybody drawing comics now has got like at least 80 years worth of images that they see. But these guys like, all right, this is what comic books are. They're riding anthropomorphic cat lizard people.
One of the things I want to do eventually, I have no script for this whatsoever, which is kind of the point, because most of my writing is very logical. Most of my writing is very story based, and one thing happens after another. But I just want to write a pure, off the wall, just amazingly, where the heck did that come from story and publish it.
This is why liberals want people to credit the artist. You guys wouldn't be asking why does it have to be liberals? I think people should get credit for their art. I don't understand that comment. The premier DC Silver Age artist for me was Carmine Infantino. Yeah, I hated Carmine Infantino, but my first Carmine Infantino comic was that inventory issue of Avengers, where Wonder Man and the Beast find those creatures that live in the sewers, and it was just awful. But I didn't know that was at the end of his career, and it was like something that he did that he didn't think was ever going to get published. But then I met Carmine Infantino at a Comic-Con, and I felt bad. I didn't tell him I didn't like his art, and then I went back and I saw his Flash stuff, and yeah, it's a lot better. Yeah, when he was at his top of his game, it was a lot better. I think they could have created more spider-themed heroes, giving each one a different power inspired by different spider. Yes, absolutely. Come up with a different name. Like One of them's the brown recluse. One of them's the tarantula. One of them's the ghost spider. One of them's the wolf spider. Things like that. I'm keeping my spider guy's name out of the conversation so nobody steals it. But you know what I mean? Like, but the fact that we're Spider-Man and then we're Blue Spider-Man and we're Spider-Man of Arizona. Same with the Captain's America of the 50 states of Captain. It's so freaking stupid. It just shows me that it's people that don't know comics. Alex Raymond, I do not think is underrated. Alex Raymond is just awesome. This looks like Stardust, the Super Wizard. Sheldon Motor from the Golden Age Hawkman was, yep. Although his hand is too big, his head is too big. Who are we talking about? You can have spider theme heroes and villains. Just have them, have the old name. Yeah, there's millions of different insects and spiders. Absolutely. Captain Colorado. Yeah, there you go. The Orb Weaver. There you go. There's the trapdoor spider. Yeah, there's a million different spiders. There was another artist that I was going to. Do you have another artist?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Somebody mentioned one, and I was like, "That's a good one," and now I can't remember. It'll come.
Although
back.
I do have this very nice Bill Sienkiewicz Conan the Barbarian.
Oh yeah, that is nice. Bill Sienkiewicz to me was a acquired taste.
He originally, this is one of the things, because again, I always say we have both of us work with Mike Gustovich now, and Mike Gustovich did the original inking for the New Mutants when it first came out. But when Bill Sienkiewicz took over New Mutants, I was like, what the heck is this? I did not like it.
I liked because I the first time I can remember knowing Bill Sienkiewicz, although I had his stuff before I was paying attention to artist names, but the original Moon Knight run with Doug Monage, and that was just great. That was just like Neil Adams type art. And then he did Electra Assassin, and I couldn't read it. It literally took me a decade before I could read that comic. I hated the art so much. And now that it's considered a classic, people love it. But this is Dreadstar, right? Is this Jim Starlin?
Yes, Dreadstar.
Yeah, Jim Starlin's another one who's not given the recognition he deserves. Why can't I think of that artist? It's driving me nuts.
If anybody wants to know, they're still actually publishing Dreadstar to this day. It comes out every once in a while, but I think it was last year that the newest Dreadstar came out. I love this cold cover.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's one of the things that for anybody who follows like Conan stuff, that's one of the things that I really like about Kull that doesn't really appear in the Conan stuff, because Kull was supposed to defeat all the, I can't remember if they were Yuan-Ti or whatever that they called themselves at the time. So it was basically snake people, half human, half snake. That's what Kull was trying to defeat a lot of the time, and he was supposed to have done that. So by the time you get to Conan, of course, they're pretty much just extinct. But I always thought they were beautiful characters for villains.
Here's an artist that I discovered. I'm not going to lie and say that I've known him forever, but Matt Baker. Marcus Kelligrew was posting romance covers, and I was like looking at this art. I'm like, who is this guy? And he told me about. So I started getting collections, but he started out, I think, doing Phantom Lady. But I love his art. It just shows, like, can't you just tell that she's moving? And look at that hand. Doesn't it play tricks on you, that hand? Like everybody else back then, not everybody else, but a lot of people in the Golden Age, it was stiff. Like those women on those Saurons, they were stiff to the point I didn't believe that they were actually moving. Like the wind would just knock them down. But this hand has movement. She has movement. Yeah, I love Matt Baker. There's a specific image that I'm trying to find, but like he could just draw like this. I love this. I don't know if he who the colorist was, but let me bring this up. But I think he's what am I doing wrong? I think he's one of the best artists as far as women goes. I mean, look at this. I just think he's so good. Yeah. I want to, there's one specific cover that I want to find, and I can't seem to find it. So, are you familiar with Matt Baker? I mean,
His
tell me
stuff
that.
looks familiar, but I don't know the name off the top of my head. No.
What did I do? Yeah, he died young. I think he was like only like 33 or something like that. I bought a collection of Canteen Kate, and he had 2 strikes against him. I think he was black, and I think he was gay. So I don't think he became a recluse. But for a gay guy, he liked to draw the butts. Look at that. Wartime romance. I don't know what it is, but the color just works so good with him, and he has depth. Everybody has art. Yeah, this is golden age art. It's better than most artists. I absolutely. He died young. Kirby did romance covers. A couple of people told me that Tony backed me up or let me know if I'm wrong, but a couple of people told me that Kirby was one of the first people to do romance comics. That him and Joe Simon invented them. That Kirby had a long career before he even did the Fantastic Four. Matt Baker's infamous Phantom Lady headlights cover basically helped cripple the industry when it was shown at the Senate hearing. Oh, I gotta look at that. Tony, if you could send me that. I'm trying to see Phantom Lady, but there's one specific image that like look at this. It's so good. I'm a fan. Like someday when I'm rich, I'd like to get the original Canteen Kate comics.
That's amazing.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, he's a degenerate black who drew degenerate art. Okay, there you go. This is degenerate art. Okay.
But that's the thing. You're looking at, we were just talking about this a while ago. These people that were originally creating comics, they were illustrators. They didn't know what sequential art was. They were creating basically the medium out of nothing. And they all started from being illustrators, which if they're illustrators, they would have spent thousands of hours just sketching the human form.
And like everybody was like they took it seriously. They had this work ethic, and they just like put so much into every page, like it was almost like not almost, it was literally the good competition. What's the word? I can't think tonight, but I can't even speak tonight. But there's friendly competition. Like they just made each other better.
That's one of the things. So I'm always delving as much as possible into artists and how they create art and stuff like that. But the thing is that in art schools, the original art schools that these people would have got to, not the ones that exist today, most of the time, supposedly, was not spent with some kind of professor or teacher teaching them how to draw. It was drawing with 10, 20, 50 other guys in a room, and everybody comparing their work and figuring out what worked for who and how one person got this done correctly and the other people didn't. And they had always criticized each other in order to try to make their art better, which again, that leads to merit-based system of everybody criticizes everybody else in order to make everything better.
A few people who are on my channel who went to like art school of visual arts, and what's the other one? I can't think of it right now. They would say like some of the guys just quit because the art teachers were just mean with their criticisms. They weren't wrong, but they were just like, if you can't take it, they would. And Rini, who does
that's what Rini said. Yeah,
she says like she was holding back tears a few times, but she weathered through it, and I think her art is fabulous. So there you go. you know. And then you got people right now in the indie scene, you criticize them and they spend 3 years talking about you, you know, hours at a time. The idea of creating captains for the various American states is interesting. However, they could have made lieutenants subordinate to Captain America each. Yeah, or I like what Jewel was doing, just the alliteration, like Viceroy of Virginia, you know, and Major Maine. As long as it like sounded good, that's what matters the most with the like Cap. Like, why isn't he General America or maybe or Lieutenant America? Because Captain America just flows better.
I remember I was on Michael Bancroft's show one time and I told him about Captain Confederate and he said, that's not a real thing. And I'm going, oh yeah, I'll pull up some covers from 1980.
Yeah, I want to find this Phantom lady and then we'll, you know, Phantom lady or Phantom girl, whatever her name is. Oh, not it. Which one is the headlights one? I don't
Take
know.
your pick with Phantom Lady.
I know, but I want to see which one is the one that. But I don't see any of them that are particularly egregious. But they're all. I'll just throw one up while I'm looking. But yeah, I don't see anything that's particularly bad. But I love his art. And Canteen Kate, it was kind of charming. I had to do a little bit of research because I'm like, why is this woman in the military? Phantom Lady inspired. They're the same. They're the same character, right? Phantom Lady, Phantom Girl. Oh, Phantom Girl is in the Legion of Superheroes. Yeah, Phantom. Yeah, Phantom Lady was first. She was, I think, Quality Comics. I'm sure Tony's gonna know. Yeah, headlights was the terminology that Wortham used to describe female breasts. Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember. I think it was, I just ran across this on X. Somebody posted, I think it was Adam Hughes has a book out, How to Draw Boobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this? I don't know if this is Matt Baker, but this. Tony, let me know if this is Matt Baker, but it doesn't look like it to me.
That's iconic cover right there.
Yeah. Phantom Lady is Police Comics. What I said, Quality. Okay, Police Comics, along with Plastic Man, both public domain. Yeah, isn't that weird to think that? I think the original Human Torch, the Submariner, Phantom Lady, and Plastic Man, and are all public domain. You know, but of course DC and Marvel aren't going to announce this. You know, so Phantom Lady debuted in Quality Comics, was later taken over by Fox. Was completely so. This isn't Matt Baker then. This is Phantom Lady. I remember. Oh, this is the famous headlights cover. So this is Matt Baker. I like her shorts. They're like long but sexy. I don't know. Any artists you want to talk about? I mean, you could share. I want to know who the colorist with Matt Baker seemed to work with the same colorist, or is it just his art? Captain Marvel's public domain too. I know that they let the trademark lapse, but that would be great. I've always loved Captain Marvel, and I felt like Captain Marvel always. They never utilized him in DC properly, if you ask me. He was, I mean, he to me, Captain Marvel doesn't work in a world where there's already Superman.
Oh, I think there's some good Strowman stuff from Transformers there.
Oh, this is Strowman?
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm not that familiar with Strowman. I still got to read Alien Legion. My first thought, I thought this was like Adams and Neary.
I'm pretty sure it's Strowman, but also I love this series we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Keith Giffen stuff.
Man, I was about to say Neil Giffen. What is? You can tell I'm getting sleepy. A lot of rope bondage. No wonder they did the Comics Code. Yeah, I mean, turns out that there were a lot of communists in Hollywood. What do you want me to say? You know, that was a good issue of Transformers. I never got into Transformers. I was too old. I have always hated He-Man. I'm sorry. You know, I just don't like He-Man. Oh, I turned on my flashlight by accident.
All right, here's Jim Lee.
Yeah, that's Jim Lee. Now, does everybody get what I'm saying? That everything looks like there's the stuff in the background might as well be in the foreground.
You know what is really interesting, John, is the fact that I started making fun of when I started my channel. Started making fun of Marvel for publishing stuff on Marvels.com and Marvel's X page about this is how you read a comic, and I'm thinking to myself, what are you, stupid? But when I published the first art for Thomas Valiant #1 with the double splash page, which is pages 2 and 3, I got people over and over again, at least half a dozen times, saying, I don't understand. What is this person supposed to be tiny? Like they were in the background. I was like, do you not know perspective? How do you not know the difference between perspective? Really? It's like, I don't get it. I mean, we just grew up in comic books, so we get these things, right?
Well, there's a lot of comic book things that regular people don't know. Like my wife, she's been making the thumbnails for my show. It's Clobbering Time on Friday nights. She just likes using Gemini and doing these AI things. Yeah, I know it's AI, but my wife likes doing it. Happy wife kind of thing. And, I like when she's excited about my stuff. She's always like, what are you doing for It's Clobbering Time? So this week, we're talking about if we could retcon something from a character or a story or whatever. So I had to explain what the concept of a retcon was. I'm like, oh my God, that has got to be the most comic book specific term. Like, does any other medium use retcon, retroactive continuity? Is that specific to comics?
But as far as I know, it originated in comics, and they use it for other things now.
Supposedly, DC claims the rights to quality comics. So DC owns the older Phantom Lady, but the Fox one is public domain. That's interesting. The trademark is owned by Marvel. DC has rights to Captain Marvel, but he is public domain. Yeah, Julie, are you a lawyer or anything like that? Because I don't really understand the difference between like public domain, but the trademark and copyright. They always seem confusing to me. But not all of his Golden Age comics are public domain. Example, Black Adam isn't, because I know. I wouldn't touch this stuff with a 10-foot pole. Like all of these people now put Mickey Mouse and Popeye in their. I don't know. Even a threat of a lawsuit would bankrupt me as far as making comics goes. You know what I mean? Like I'm a blue collar guy. You should look. Yeah, the Dave Stevens. That's how I learned about Dave Stevens. Actually, it was how could you not look at his fandom grow? Where these giant alien Amazons fell in love with an Autobot who was a pretender is when that's the Transformers. I just don't get the Transformers. Yeah, anybody remember the comic book miniseries with Phantom Lady and Dollman? Yeah, that was the Freedom Fighters. Oh wow, that is gorgeous.
There's Barry Windsor Smith there.
That's the original Red Sonja when she was like a buccaneer, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Dave Brink is here. Check out Dave Brink. He's got Perfect 10 and Safeguard. If I'm not working overtime, I will be hosting Dave Brink Saturday for launching his new comic, his new campaign. But sorry if I'm working overtime. I just went to get my car inspected yesterday. Guess how much it cost? $700. I had to get brakes and drums. Quality Comics is the company that made Police Comics. Fox Comics made the Phantom Lady series. Okay, yeah. For some reason, I always get Quality and Police Comics mixed up. The Red Sonja with the T-shirt and thong isn't great. That's the original. That's how she was in the story, right?
The original Marvel version of her, yeah. And well, I mean, in the original stories from the Howard stories, she's not even anywhere close to Conan's time. She's basically in ancient France. Not ancient France, but even just old world France, like medieval France.
Oh, okay. And I learned something. Was it Tony Grigo that told me this? That H.P. Lovecraft was married to a woman named Sonia Green. And they, all of those pulp guys they all went to like I guess proto conventions or whatever. And they hung out together, and Sonia Green was one of the inspirations for Red Sonja. So they couldn't call her Green Sonja; they called her Red Sonja. So I think it would be funny if somebody made Green Sonja, and she was just like this woman who married a Lovecraft. Oh, look at that! That is beautiful. I recognize that Dave Linzer right away. But that is gorgeous. Who's that?
I don't remember off the top of my head. This is a newer piece of art done for one of the newer Conan magazines. I can't remember who did the art for, though.
Did Nick see this and use that for the Devil Woman and Crom?
No, actually, the Devil Woman and Crom was created with me and Jim, actually, with mostly Jim, coming up with the character design for that.
Do you see one of the things in Golden Age that you don't? And of course, all the stuff that they have made from the 70s until now. Yeah, I wouldn't. My advice to anybody making comics is make up your own characters. If you want to make a Batman guy, it's not too difficult to come up with a Batman type character that's all your own, and nobody's gonna bust your balls. Can you imagine spending all that money or all that time making a Batman story because he's gonna be public domain and then you get sued and you can't do it? Like Chuck Dixon wrote a Conan novel, and then he got a cease and desist letter. Like all that time and effort. And the novel, that would kill me. Yeah, I think Frank Thorne was the one who gave the metal bikini, probably. Yeah, and then Wendy Peeney modeled it all the time. The woman who did ElfQuest, she was gorgeous back in her prime. The original Lasagna was set in medieval Turkey. She was to be married off to the Sultan. Tony knows his pulps. I believe the original Red Sonja was Ukrainian. That was
the
Ottoman Empire. Oh, okay. I remember. Forgive me, guys. Mouth ain't working.
Yes, there we go. Picture for John.
It's part of the Lovecraft Circle, along with Rodney Howard and Clark Ashton Smith. Yep. Oh, look at that. Some Elric and Meldebone. Who drew that?
It's
There you go. I was just talking about him earlier. Yep, that's Frank Bruner. I love his art. I love these books. Tony, you must have read these, right? Elektra and Psyblade.
Oh, this one from up here, yeah.
Psylocke and Elektra. Psylocke.
I don't think that's Psylocke, but it could be. I'm not sure. I've never seen her in that.
Agent Psylocke later on. I love that a British woman became a Japanese woman in the comics, and nobody remembers that Betsy Braddock was originally a blue-haired British woman, sister of Captain Britain.
What was her original hair color? Because her original hair color was
blue.
Pink. No, she was blonde for a little bit, or brunette, one or the other. In the original, I think a couple of issues she was in. Excuse me. There's some. I love little things like this. This is I think of just one page panel.
Can you make it bigger? Because I can see the signature, but I can't read it. Yeah, I can't read that.
It's Jim Aparo. Yeah, it's Jim Aparo.
Oh, it's Jim Aparo. Jeez. Jim Aparo likes drawing women getting choked out and showing their butts. No, I love Jim Aparo. He's my favorite Batman artist.
Underrated for his panel design as well.
Okay, George Morales has the scoop. He says Psylocke was originally a blonde, but then dyed her hair purple for some reason. Okay, I remember her having bluish purple hair. I love that Hawk Girl costume. That is such a great Hawk Girl costume. I love that helmet. Yeah, Michael. Oh, but the colors did mess up sometimes and made her a brunette sometimes. That must be tough. I'm surprised there's not a lot of color mistakes. Michael Moorcock is still publishing Elric stories, but unfortunately, yeah, I was like, oh wow, I never read the first 6 Mike Elric books are wonderful, and then I read one and I was like, this stinks. This stinks. He became a better writer, but I don't know. I think his older stuff is the best. Nightshade is in public domain too. I always like that character, Nightshade. Is that Nick Axe art?
No.
No.
That's what's her name? Montana.
Okay.
I don't off the top of my head, I can't remember.
That's good.
Who originally did that book?
That's Hannah Dundee. That's
yes, Hannah Dundee. That's it.
Mark Schultz, another guy. Oh my God, I'll get some Mark Schultz art. Betsy Braddock was originally blonde before she switched bodies with Conan. That's right. Mark Schultz. There's a good guy who doesn't get enough credit. Good one. Mark Schultz. All right. Apparently there's a singer named Mark Schultz. Okay, I don't want him. I want art. I think he's super slow. Oh, look at this. Oh my God, this is so good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, who's that? That's
Bruce. Bruce Timm?
Yeah, Bruce Timm. I almost said Paul Dini. Yeah, check out Mark Schultz right over here. I think everybody probably has seen this. He draws beautiful women and he draws such great dinosaurs. Where's this art? Oh, look at that. So good. 1999. I don't know. Maybe I'm ignorant. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But I would put him up there with Frank Frazetta. Here's Tarzan fighting. Okay. Here's Tarzan fighting an alligator. Tony, you'd be happy to know I bought the third Conan. I bought the third Conan novel, Tarzan novel. I'll be reading that as soon as I'm done with the Scarlet Pimpernel. Quick question: is clobbering time going? It's going to be midnight this Friday. I have a feeling that my schedule is going to go back to normal at the end of the month. So it'll be midnight until further notice. The only thing is, if I'm working Saturday morning, I'm just going to come home from work, go to bed, because then I'll have to get up at 4, and I'm going to lose an hour, right? Or is that Sunday?
Changes Saturday night at midnight, John.
Okay, so I won't, because and I got that $700 freaking build. Well, I already paid it, but I didn't expect it. I want to put $700 back in my account. I'm working on a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen style comic using public domain characters. Good luck. I love the concept of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I wouldn't do it, because then it's like, I'm just copying Alan Moore. But if I was to do it, it would be like characters pre-1930. That way I know nobody's going to sue me, like Peter Pan and Sherlock Holmes kind of characters. Was that Larry Elmore doing Tika? I don't know. Art Adams, everybody loves Art Adams. The point to this was like underappreciated. But yeah, everybody loves Art Adams. Mark Schultz works prominently now as the main artist for Prince Valiant, I believe. Shame he never finished Cadillacs and Diamonds. I know. It was like months and sometimes years between issues. His art is so good, but he took forever. And I think he was doing other work. Oh, this is Frank Frazetta. This isn't Schultz. This is see, that's how sleepy I am. Yeah. That was Frank Frazetta, that Tarzan and the what you call it. That's how sleepy I am. Yeah, I'm getting real sleepy. Here's this is real Mark Schultz. This is twice I showed the wrong artist. One of them I caught right away, but this is, look at that. That is cool.
I got one for you, John. It took me a minute to go through my Twitter to find it, but let's see here. I gotta click off one thing. Give me a second.
Yeah, sure.
But yes, I have Mark Schultz.
I got it.
I knew I had one somewhere in my
I'm
my
fading.
list of beautiful art.
Talking, so we'll finish up.
There you go. That's Mark Schultz.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's I recognize it. Yeah. Look, I'm gonna make that big. That looks good. Schultz is the creator of Peanuts, but that's Charles Schultz. Mark Schultz is the creator of Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, which originally was Xenozoic Tales, but when they made the cartoon, they called it Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. And then that's when it got reprinted by Marvel. It was Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Yeah, he draws some of the most beautiful women. And he draws like great nature, like dinosaurs and like giant crabs and stuff like that. I really like his art. That is beautiful. But RJ, I would love to stay up and keep talking, but I'm fading. I can't read. I can't think anymore.
It's already 20 minutes, almost 20 minutes after 2 hours of us talking, John. So
yeah, I could
2 hours and 17 minutes.
Yeah, you know me. I could talk forever.
All right, we'll leave it there. This is the last piece of art I wanted to show, anyways.
Okay. Well, anything you want to say before we go?
Nothing besides to let everybody know we're still working furiously on the books that we got going, and trying to get the lettering done for Crom the Destroyer as we get the last couple of pages of art done at the same time. So we're doubling up on as much as we can.
Yep. Yeah, and Renzo is working on Patriarch #1, and then he's gonna do King Fu. We're gonna try to get King Fu Christmas special in your hands by Christmas, and the script is done. Renzo didn't start drawing it yet, so we're gonna do super fast paced. We're going to try to see how fast we can make a comic as an experiment. And I just sent him 6 scripts. So we got a lot of work. But in the meantime, like Luke Stone is just burning through these pages for Sleeper Agent. And so I've been getting a lot of pages from a lot of people. It's really fun, really fun. So things are slow right now. And then all of a sudden it's going to be machine gun rapid fire with me.
Same with me.
Yep. Thanks a lot, everybody. Oh, Kevin Maguire, I thought, was a little underrated. His Captain America miniseries was great. Yeah, Kevin Maguire. I mean, he was all the rage with the Justice League, the reboot of the Justice League. But I can't even. You can see it on my face. I'm looking at my face. And I look like I'm drunk. But thanks a lot, everybody. See you next
everybody
week.
later.
We'll say goodbye, kids.